everyone. This is my level 2 asana practice video. So you are more than welcome to practice with me. If you are practicing, I do recommend watching this video twice, as throughout the video for the main sequence, I will only be teaching to one side of the body. And as you know, it's good to have a practice for both sides, that balance. So I'll write in the comments when the main sequence starts and then when Savasana starts. So you can, of course, it's your practice, so you can do whatever you like. But if you'd like to have that guideline or point throughout the video, then I will include that. For practice today, you may wish to have a couple of blocks or books with you for some of the poses, as well as a bolster or a couple of blankets just folded up for some width. So yeah, join me on your mat and we'll start in Balasana, child's pose. So if you want to join me. And today for Balasana, we will have our knees, our toes, our feet together. If that's uncomfortable for you, you can slip a bolster in between your knees, or you can put a blanket just on top of your heels so your hips can just relax back there. And for today, we'll start with our hands and arms extended out in front of us. But again, if that's uncomfortable for you, just do what you'd like to settle in. Lower your forehead down into the mat. Just feel your hips reaching back towards your heels. And taking the time to really come to your mat, come to your practice. Perhaps breathing in through your nose, and sighing it out through your mouth. Breathing in through your nose, and sigh it out through your mouth. Last one, deep breath. Fill your belly, your back. And slowly let it out your mouth. And throughout this practice today, we will really be focusing on our breath as we move, as our body makes these strong and opening shapes. And on our mat, it's where we begin to really bring our body and mind together. Noticing what we feel. And instead of backing away, really breathing into it, being curious with it. And if you find yourself wandering and thinking of what you have to do later on, just come back to your breath. Come back to your breathing in through your nose, breathing out your nose. That strong and steady pace. And this is your practice, so do what feels right. Use whatever you need to really open and strengthen your body. Now push into your palms. And just slowly start to roll your spine, dragging your arms along your mat. Slowly waking up, letting your palms rest on your thighs As you breathe in, loop your shoulders up, back, and down, breathing out. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly blink them open. And take your time to stand up at the front of your mat, maybe shifting your legs back and forth to really feel the ground beneath you. We'll begin at the front of our mat in mountain pose, Tadasana. So our feet hip distance apart, maybe shifting again back and forth to really feel the four corners of our feet rooted. Start to strengthen your legs by hugging your outer thighs, your outer hips together. Lengthen your tailbone down to the ground. Reach your fingers down. Relax your shoulders. Soften your ribs. Slightly lower your chin. And almost slide it back so you feel the back of your neck getting nice and long. Begin to reach the top of your head up towards the sky. Breathing here, feeling strong and steady. We'll move or begin moving today with a few rounds of Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up. And as you exhale, you can slightly bend your knees and fold your torso down over your legs. As you inhale, root into your palms of your fingers and step your left foot back. As you exhale, plant your palms firmly on the mat. Press your right foot back and lift your hips up for downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into your first plank. And as you exhale, you can lower all the way down or start with your knees, chest, and your chin. Press your toes into the mat. Turn your ankles in as you inhale. Start to lift your shoulders. Bring your gaze just beyond your nose for cobra. And as you exhale, tuck your toes and start to lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. And for our first downward facing dog, we'll be here for 5 breaths. So you can bend your knees, start to stretch the back of your legs, push into your palms. 5 breaths. Really reach up with your tailbone. And at the end of your last exhale, bring your left foot forward for a low lunge. Start to gaze in front of you. And as you exhale, bring your right foot to meet your left foot and lower down. Inhale, keep a slight bend in your knees as you slowly rise all the way up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together to the center of your chest. Inhale, sweep your arms up by your sides all the way up. And as you exhale, fold down again. Let your arms drop. As you inhale, step your right foot back. And as you exhale, plant your palms, meet your left with your right, and lift your hips up for downward facing dog. Inhale, lower yourself into plank. And exhale, knees, chest, and chin, or lower all the way down. Uncurl your toes, turn your ankles in slightly. And as you inhale, lift the top of your head up. Reach your elbows back behind you. And as you exhale, lower down. And come on up to downward facing dog. As you root down into the 4 corners of your hands, really lengthen your sides. Lengthen the sides of your waist.
Reach up with your tailbone. If your heels don't reach the mat, that's okay. We're really trying to reach our hips and lengthen our spine up towards the sky. Bend your elbows out to the sides and wrap your elbows underneath you. Really feel the strength in your shoulders. Keep your shoulders away from your ears by shaking your head no, saying yes, really relaxing there. And on your next inhale, the very end, bring your right foot forward for a nice low lunge. And as you exhale, bring your left foot to meet your right, lower down. Inhale, sweep your arms up your sides, reach up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together towards the center of your chest. And last one like this. Inhale, sweep your arms up, look up. And as you exhale, fold down over your legs. Inhale, step your left foot back, low lunge. And as you exhale, plant your palms, lift up into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into your plank. And as you exhale, knees, chest, and chin, or lower all the way down. Untuck your toes as you inhale. Reach your elbows back towards your heels for cobra. And as you exhale, lower down. Inhale, bend your knees or curl your toes under and lift all the way up into plank. And as you exhale, lift your hips back up for downward facing dog. So really hug your outer hips in, squeeze toward the midline. Legs are really charged and strong still. Start to melt your heart down towards your mat. Strong arms. Everything is engaged here. Keep rooting down into your palms as you reach up with your hips. And if this feels uncomfortable for your shoulders, you can always take a wider stance with your hands. One more inhale. One more exhale. And at the very end of your exhale, bring your left foot forward for a low lunge, gazing ahead of you. And as you exhale, bring your right to meet your left. Fold down over your legs. And inhale, sweep your arms up, all the way up. And exhale, palms together to the center of your chest. And close your eyes, coming back to your natural breathing. Feeling the air circulating, the energy circulating. Place your arms down by your sides, reaching down as we lift up. And take your time coming to the center of your mat now. So we'll begin in Tadasana, facing the long edge. And if you'd like, you can take a block or a book and just place it right now to the right of your right foot. So finding Tadasana again, hip distance apart. Hip distance, we can take our hip bones, so the bony parts right here, and try to line them up with the center of our ankle. So that's about hip distance apart. Put your hands on your hips, and you can either step or jump your feet out wide. And then reach your arms out. So extending your arms from the sides. Take a look and try your best to line your outer ankles up directly underneath your wrist. So it is a pretty wide stance. If you feel uncomfortable with it being wide, you can always take it shorter. Wider is always the best, especially with a stable foundation. So just do your best here. And we'll begin now by placing our hands back on our hips and turn your right toes out to face the front of your mat. So right toes face out. You can start to bend your right knee a little bit, and you can take your back heel, so your left heel, and pivot it a little bit backwards. So your toes may be at 45 or 60 degrees. Root down into your feet. So even though your back heel is pivoted a little bit, you really want to push down into that outer edge. Take your right hand and start to manually rotate your right outer hip. So it's almost like you're wrapping your thigh, your hip, your sitting bone underneath you. And as you do that, start to straighten your back leg a little bit more. So this external rotation is really going to help us open our pelvis up, because we really, for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, we want our pelvis to be lengthening down towards the ground and facing the left side. So really get that bend. And again, keep straightening that back leg as much as you'd like. If your knee is experiencing discomfort, you can keep a slight bend there. And really start to root down into your feet as you lift up through your pelvis. So your core is engaged, nice and strong. Take a look at your knee, your front knee, and track it over your ankle. So we want our knee to be directly above our ankle rather than splaying in or splaying out. Take your arms now from your hips and extend them out from your elbows. Flip your palms up, relax your shoulders, and then just your palms, flip them back down. So really root down, feel the back edge of your heel, lift up through the top of your head as you sink down lower. And you can keep your gaze at the left side, or you can look just beyond your right fingers. And breathe here. Take a look down at your right knee, track it over your ankle. Relax your shoulders, soften your ribs. One more breath in. One more breath out. Hands back on your hips. And now we have our pelvis lining up, so coming from the bottom of our mat all the way up to the sky. Now we're going to start shifting our pelvis towards our back heel. So shift, shift, shift. Keep tracking your knee above your ankle so it's staying in place. The external rotation is still happening. If you have a block or a book, you can take it and place it on the inside of your right heel at whatever length feels good for you. You can start by taking your right elbow and just placing it on the top of your right thigh. Push into your elbow to help you lift up and out of your shoulder girdle. So we don't want to be collapsing down. We want our core to be working with us still. So really engage that core and lift up and out. At the same time, soften your ribs. So we're not back bending here. We're lifting straight up. Keep bending your knee, straightening your back leg. Feel your back edge of your foot root down into the ground, and that'll help you lengthen your tailbone down now towards your back heel. So you can stay here, or you can take your right hand and place it on your block. Keep squeezing your knee and your arm together. That'll help you track that knee over your ankle. And maybe take your top arm up, so reaching up towards the sky. Again, lifting straight up rather than back. Soften your ribs. Feel a diagonal line from the top of your head all the way down to your back heel. Keep rooting into that heel. Broaden your collarbones. And breathe. Feel all of your body working here. On your next inhale, lift yourself up with your core to Warrior 2. Straighten your right knee. And then you can start to turn your toes facing the long edge of the mat. Ooh, good stuff. Maybe shake that a little bit in your hips. And when you're ready, you can step or hop your legs back underneath you, hip distance apart. So our hips distance apart. This is important for our next pose. So really root down into the four corners of your feet. Start to bend your knees and send your hips back, like we're coming into chair here. So you can start by extending your arms out in front of you. Now lengthen your tailbone down towards the mat and engage your core to protect your lower back here. So still rooting up through our tailbone to lift up through the sides of our waist. And again, squeeze our outer hips together. So imagine there's a beach ball in between our thighs. We're really trying to keep that beach ball lifted and away from the ground. Put your hands on your hips. Maybe come up on your right toes and lower them back down. Now come up on your left toes and lower them back down. Keep lifting up through the top of your head. Maybe bring your gaze to a spot a little bit in front of you. So not far enough that you're jutting your chin forward. Keep that sliding your chin back to help lengthen the back of your neck. Reach your arms out. Lift your left toes, your left heel. Cross it over your right thigh. And keep that squeezing action. So squeeze your thighs together. You can stay here. You can rest your left toes down on the other side of your right foot, or you can wrap your toes, your left foot around your right calf. So keep squeezing, keep engaging your core here. Maybe take your right hand, right elbow, wrap it underneath your left. You can hug, so grabbing your shoulder blades behind you, wrapping yourself in a hug, relaxing your shoulders down. Or you can take your fingers, reach them up towards the top of the sky, slide your shoulders back and down as you reach up with your fingers, and keep squeezing everything together. Squeeze for Garudasana. Feel your power building, that heat. Keep lifting up through the top of your head as you sit back in your hips. Now with control, unravel your arms, unravel your legs, and lower everything back down. Good work. Shake your hips from side to side, just gently rocking them back and forth. And now let's come into our plank and lower all the way down. So however you'd want to get there, whether it's tabletop lowering down or your plank, come on down. So now we're on our tummy. You can take your block away from you for now. Bring your hands by your sides and flip your palms so they're facing up. Do your best to lengthen your legs away from your pelvis and root your pelvis down into the ground. So really rooting down here. Same as what we did with Cobra with our feet. You want to really root your toes down into the mat. Start to slightly turn your ankles in and engage all of your legs. So your legs are really strong here. Feel the power of your legs. Feel your pelvis rooting down. Slide your chin back slightly to lengthen the back of your neck. Extend through the top of your head. And on your next breath in, lift your palms up and start to reach your fingers towards the back of your heels or towards your heels. Keep your gaze just beyond your nose and maybe lift your strong legs and your strong feet too. Keep rooting down into your pelvis. Come down whenever you'd like. Shoulders broad. One more breath in. One more breath out. And as you breathe out, lower yourself all the way down. And you can rest your chin on one side or your cheek on one side. Just relax here for a moment. Maybe sway your legs back and forth. So coming up for Savasana, locust one more time. You can try this option. So with our palms facing up towards the sky. Or if you'd like to go a little bit more, you can clasp your hands and just place them right at the back of your pelvis. So the very base of your spine. You can keep your elbows bent, or you can start to straighten them. So first, let's check in with our pelvis. Root down into your hips. Really feel them ground into your mat. Turn your legs on by rooting down into your toes, turning your ankles in slightly. Stay here, or start to straighten your arms. Reach your arms back towards your heels. Really broaden your collarbones here. Lift up through the top of your head, but slide your chin back slightly so you feel the back of your neck get nice and long. And maybe start to lift your feet and your legs. So everything is reaching back, still feeling strong, and breathing. Squeeze your legs together. Squeeze your outer hips together. Lengthen your tailbone down towards your heels. One more breath in. And as you breathe out, relax and lower everything down. And maybe rest your chin, your cheek on the other side now. You can always stack your palms and let your forehead rest for crocodile. And taking your time now, place your palms underneath your shoulders, curl your toes under, bend your knees, and come on up into tabletop. So you may wish to have your blocks now, or your books. Place one on either side of your mat. Bring your left foot forward. So however that you need to get it on up there. Bring your left foot forward and root it down into your mat. We're coming into a low lunge here. So if you need more of a stance, you can always curl your right toes, lift up, and bring your right knee back just a little bit more. So again, still tracking our left knee above our left ankle. For me, my knees are very sensitive, so I don't like to bring my knee any further than my ankle. It hurts a little bit. For you, it may feel differently. But just noticing what you feel, especially in your knee, especially in that area. You can stay with your fingers tented on your mat, or you can come up on your blocks. Again, whatever height. Bringing them right underneath your shoulders here. So for our low lunge, we really want gravity to be working with us here. So using our core to help us lift us up and out, but at the same time sinking our hips down. So we want our tailbone rooting down towards the mat, really lengthening out, but still feeling in control. Let your shoulders relax. Lift up through the top of your head. Your right toes can still be under, tucked under. And squeeze your inner legs together. That'll help you to stay out of that sinking down in gravity. You may start to feel this in your back hip flexor, maybe your front hip flexor. Really protecting our lower back here by engaging our core, lifting up through the sides of our waist as we root down into our pelvis. One more breath in. One more breath out. And now slowly start to shift your hips back towards your back foot as you straighten your front foot, your left foot. If you're using blocks, bring your blocks slowly as you reach your hips back, and try to align your hips so they're stacked just above your right knee. So we're not swinging backward. We're still using gravity to help us here. So gravity's pushing down on our pelvis. We're using our core to really lift up, helping our hamstrings here. So dig your left heel into your mat. Toes reach up towards the sky. Hips still aligned, facing forward. And again, depending on your knee here, your left knee, you can keep a little bend in it, depending on how tight your hamstrings are. Keep reaching out through the top of your head as you slowly start to fold your torso over your left leg. Breathe into the back of your leg. And again, just noticing with curiosity here. We may be feeling strong sensations. That just means we need to explore it a little bit more, carefully and with control. One more breath here. One more breath out. And then start to walk your hands or your blocks forward. Bend your left knee. Plant your left foot down. You can take your blocks away. Plant your palms. Come back into tabletop. So for our next pose, you have two options here. You can come up into plank, or you can come up into forearm plank. So if you're coming into forearm plank, we still want our forearms to be shoulder width apart. So you can do that by placing your forearms down, lifting one forearm and placing that palm up against your other forearm. So that's really the distance that we want here. So root down into your forearms, root down into your palms if that's your choice, or you can just come up into plank with our palms rooted down. Either way, come on up into your plank. So really, again, strong legs here, hugging our outer thighs, outer hips in, lengthening, stretching our hamstrings by reaching our heels back. Keep reaching through the top of your head. Engage your core to protect your lower back. And you can stay here, or you can start to transition into our side plank. So if you have a forearm, if you're in forearm plank, turn your right forearm out. So now it's parallel to the front edge of your mat. If you're up on your palms, really root your right palm down into your mat. So I like to, one of my yoga teachers tells me to imagine you're screwing a pickle jar, you're unscrewing it. So almost like you're rotating your wrist. And that, as you can see, will start to rotate your upper arm too. And that'll root down and protect our shoulder girdle here. So keeping us up and out of our shoulders, engaging those muscles that'll help us lift up. Lift up with your hips and start to come onto the back edge of your right leg, your right foot, and the inner edge of your left foot. And you can stay here with your left fingers tented, or you can start to bring your top arm up towards the sky. Keep lifting your hips. Really stack your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulders. So those are all aligned. Keep lifting up. Lengthen your tailbone down towards your heels. Reach straight up with your top hand. Maybe look up. Feel your strength. Feel your sides working. One more breath. All the way out. You can keep your hips high as you lower your top hand down. Come back on your toes and lower your knees. Come on back for child's pose. So you can flip your palms up, just giving yourself a rest here. Press into your palms and start to roll your spine up so you're sitting back on your heels for Thunderbolt. So next, if you would like to have a bolster or a blanket to help you out here, you may wish to do so. Start to bring your knees shoulder width or hip width apart, and come on up on your shins and your knees. It's really rooting down into the bottoms of our legs, the tops of our toes. So what's really important about Ustrasana, our back bend here, is we really want to feel our back bend in between our shoulder blades. So especially not our lower back. So it's really important for us to engage our core to really help us come up and out of our lower back and middle back, to really feel this in our upper back. So it's almost like that, like a rolling pin action of rolling that back bend all the way up. So we'll feel this in the back of our shoulder blades and in our heart space as well. So it's a really, really nice heart opener. So for Ustrasana today, we'll have a couple of options. So again, just do what feels right for you here. Our knees, our shins, our feet root down into the mat. Place your hands on your hips. And maybe stay here, just feeling nice and tall, lengthening our tailbone down to the mat. You can take your palms and you can place them on your pelvis, the back of your pelvis, and almost like you're trying to put your hands in the back pocket of your jeans. So getting that sensation of bringing our elbows together, bringing our shoulder blades together, and slightly pushing our hips forward. And even right here, you can start to feel your collarbone open, maybe your heart space open a little bit. If you feel anything in your lower back, that's a key for you to start engaging your core. And that'll help you to roll your back bend slowly up your back so you feel it in between your shoulder blades. You can stay here, maybe starting to bring your gaze up at the sky. If you'd like to go a little bit more, you can take your blanket or your bolster and place it on the tops of your heels or your calves, so you have some height now. And start by taking one palm and just placing it, either your palm or your fingers, placing it on your bolster or blanket. Notice how that feels. And then do the same as you push your hips forward, strengthen your core, root down into your shins as you lift up with your heart space, your chest. Really feel your shoulder blades come together here, arms straight and strong. Look up. You can bring your gaze back. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you can remove your bolster, curl your toes under, coming back with our back pocket of our jeans, bringing your fingers to one back heel, noticing how that feels, still feeling broad in our collarbones, and then reaching back with the other fingers. So really lifting up and out of our back, into our heart. And again, you can let your head drop all the way back, or down into your toes, or down into your knees. Slightly push your hips forward. Feel this in your throat. Lengthen your tailbone down towards the mat. Wherever you are, take one more breath here. Let it all out. And we'll come out slowly by placing one palm to the back pocket of our jeans, slightly pushing up, using your core to bring your other palm back up, lifting all the way up. Feel the top of your head reach up towards the sky. And tuck your toes if they're tucked. Come to sit on your heels. Palms on the tops of your thighs. Just resting here for a moment. Feeling how tall we truly are. Noticing what we feel in our heart space, in our throat. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to where we began in child's pose. And this time, if it feels good for you, you can bring your hands by your sides. Feel free to use a blanket if you'd like on the tops of your heels. Let your shoulders, your elbows relax. Let your forehead melt into the earth. Breathe into your lower back, your middle back, your upper back. On your next inhale, root your palms down into your mat and slowly roll yourself up. And then come to lay down on your back. So just taking your time, doing whatever feels right for you. Maybe placing your feet down on the mat with your knees bent and just slowly rolling down. Noticing how it feels underneath your back, your mat supporting you. We'll come into a twist on either side. So if you'd like, you can have your bolster next to you. So we'll start, let's start on our right side. So if you're using a bolster blanket, you can put your bolster or your prop on the right side. Bring your knees into your chest, shift your hips over to the left, and then slowly start to bring your knees over to the right. You can let your knees rest on the top of your blanket or bolster, or if you'd like a little bit more of a twist, you can just let them rest all the way down at the ground. Stacked knees will give you a more intense twist. Otherwise, you can have them apart for a nice gentle wringing out of the spine. Shoulders ground down into the mat. Your gaze can be directly above you, or you can bring your gaze over to your left. Maybe just past your left fingers. On your next inhale, use your core to bring your legs back up. If you're using a bolster or a prop, you can bring it now over to the left side. Shift your hips over to the right, and then start to bring your knees over to the left side. And again, doing whatever feels right for you, for a gentle twist, maybe a more intense twist. Noticing what your body needs as it winds down, as it prepares to completely relax. You can keep your gaze directly above you, or you can bring your gaze over to your right. On your next inhale, use your core to bring your knees back up. Shift your hips so they're back to the center. Maybe give yourself one more hug by bringing your knees towards your chest, making yourself small. Before unfurling, letting your legs go long and wide, letting your arms go long and wide for Savasana. So whatever feels right for you here, making your body in this one last shape. Feel yourself sink in. close your eyes. And just know that when the time is right, we will begin anew. If you would like to stay in Savasana, know that you are more than welcome to. If you would like to begin anew, start to deepen your breath now, sending new breath into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes, bringing sensation back to your body. Perhaps stretching your legs out long, reaching with your arms. You might yawn. And then bring your legs back in towards your chest. And let yourself turn over to your right side. Just letting yourself rest in this transition. And then place your left palm down on the ground to help push yourself up into a comfortable seated position, whether cross-legged or sitting on your heels for a nice tall spine. Place your palms together in the center of your chest. Bow down and close your eyes. Thank yourself for taking the time to stretch and open, to feel your inner strength, and to know that any sensation, be curious with it. Know that it's to help you grow, and to open yourself. Thank you for joining me today in this practice. The inner light in me sees and bows to the inner light in you.